This is not my normal kind of YouTube video. Normally I'm focused on things related to wood turning, woodworking, working with resin and the technology that goes with those things, which is my passion. But I couldn't find any YouTube videos that I could understand related to this particular topic, so I wanted to put something together. And the topic is related to this device. And this is something that I picked up on AliExpress. It cost me $13 shipped. And basically what it is a set of 6 keys and a knob. And I'm working with this software called OBS, that's an open source software that you might be familiar with to do these recordings. And in OBS, you have this concept of scenes. And so this scene we're looking at right now is just the webcam of my Microsoft Surface. This is the overhead camera. So this is the view I use quite often when I'm sort of looking at pieces or unpacking things. And this one is a picture-in-picture, so you're seeing both those things. And typically what I've been doing is I've had to have my mouse to one hand and I'm sort of using the mouse to change the scenes. But I understood that there was a way of using a programmable keypad like this and programming these keys to actually do those functions. I put these labels on, by the way. But anyway, so I got this from AliExpress, so a little bit over $13 shipped. Took about 2 weeks to get here, it was pretty quick. And again, couldn't find out how to do this, so I've got it working and I wanted to share that with you. There's multiple parts to this. So the first thing is when I got this device, I plugged it in and basically I plugged it in and I opened Notepad. And no matter which key I pressed or if I turned this knob, it basically just output the letter C. So just every one of them was just programmed to do the letter C. No software came with it, no instructions, nothing. But I managed to find a link to a piece of software that I've installed that's allowed me to program these keys to particular functions. So I'm going to, at a high level, I'm going to explain what I did, and then I'm going to go in and actually show you how I did it and how it works on the actual laptop. So what I've done is I've programmed them. So when I press this one that's marked as F1, what it's actually doing is it's sending control 1, the number 1, to the laptop. When I press F2, it's sending control 2, and F3 is control 3, control 4, control 5, and control 6. I could have programmed to be anything, but that's what I chose to do. Then what I did was I went into OBS, and in OBS's settings, there's the ability to map a keystroke to a function. And one of the functions is to enable a scene. So for example, I went into OBS, and I'll show you how I did this. And I said, okay, if you see control on the number 4, then go to this scene, which is the picture. And if you see control 2, go to this scene, which is the overhead only. And control 1, etc. So you get the idea. So I had to do both of those two pieces to get this to work. These are fairly easy things to test, relatively easy things to test. So I'm going to show you. Here's my warning. I had to download some software to program this device. Once it's programmed, I could remove the software. It doesn't have to be running. But to actually program it, I had to download some software in a zip file and unzip it onto my machine. I did do a virus scan on it and it passed, and I've used it. But please understand it's up to you as to how you're going to do that. Hopefully you'll be okay with it. If someone finds a more legitimate version, please let me know and I'll put that in the links at the bottom. But I'm going to put a link at the bottom to the actual device that I bought on AliExpress and to the software that I downloaded. But just be aware, I can't guarantee that doesn't have viruses in it, but it certainly worked for me, and my virus checkers are not coming up with anything. So, okay, let me change views, and I'm going to show you the software and how to program the keypad, and then I'll stop and I'll show you how I then did the actual work in OBS to do that mapping. So I've switched to an overhead view so that you can see what's happening on the keypad as well as what's happening on my laptop. As I mentioned, there's two parts of this. The first is we're going to program the keypad so that when you press these keys, it sends a particular set of keystrokes, a set of commands. out as if it was a keyboard. And then we're going to program OBS so that OBS knows what to do when it sees those commands. Actually, it wasn't as difficult as it sounds once I found the software and worked out what to do, and that's why I'm sharing this video. So let me just start with, I found a link to this software. I've zoomed in my screen resolution, which is why everything's looking large, but hopefully that'll help you to read what's going on. So in this folder, which is linked in the description below, there's a manual, which was helpful after I'd worked out how to use it. It wasn't terribly helpful beforehand. There's a video that walks through, which was actually a little bit helpful, and also legitimized things. And then there's this zip file that has the software in it. So I downloaded the software, unzipped it. It unzips into a folder. One thing that I quite liked is this is the software you're going to run. You don't install it, you actually run it from the folder, which meant when I was running my virus protection against it, I was actually doing virus protection against the actual application, not against something that was going to be installed, which always just makes me feel a little bit better. But as I said before, please take care. I have no way of knowing whether or not this software is safe or not. It seems to be working for me. So first thing, I'm going to run this software. And the software is pretty generic. It I assume works for up to 16 keys, but certainly key 1 through 6 up here are these 6 keys on my keypad. I did not configure the knob. I have no reason to use it. It wasn't much more expensive with it. If you know how to use this, please put some comments down below for anybody else. But again, I'm not using it at all. So to program key 1, select key 1, and then Control 1. I decided that what I want when someone presses this key 1, this F1 button, it's going to act as if someone had pressed Control and the number 1 on the keyboard. Okay, so you have to then say download, and then go and do key 2. And say Control 2 or whatever you wanted to do. You could make this do anything. Presumably you could make it type a sentence, or I don't know what the restrictions are, but whatever your application wants you to do. But you have to do each key and click a download. Don't do all 6 and then click download. It doesn't work. So I've done that already. So whenever I press F1, it sends Control 1. It looks like someone held down the Control key and pressed a 1 on the keyboard. Once you've done that in this software, you can close down the software. You don't need it running, doesn't need to be installed. You could delete it. That would be fine. Once it's programmed, it seems to be in the firmware and stick with it. So now my keyboard has some behaviors, or my keypad has some behaviors that I know what it's going to do. So if that's all you needed to do, if you just wanted these to be Control C, Control V, whatever you wanted, then you'd be done. But I actually want to use this to change scenes in OBS. If you don't know what scenes are, there's plenty of YouTube videos. But basically, I have a scene that turns on just the webcam on my laptop. I have a scene that turns on just the overhead. One that just has the display only, and one that is a picture-in-picture with the webcam with the overhead as a picture. So I called these, you can call them whatever you want. I called my webcam only scene F1-webcam only. That F1 is something I put in there so that I can easily remember that when I press F1, it's going to bring that up. I'm going to show you how to program that logic, but I called it those. I think it's a good idea, but you don't have to do that. So let me show you how I mapped these keys to those scenes. So in OBS, click on File and then Settings. And for some reason with my screen res low, it goes slowly, but here we go. I'm going to click on hotkeys, and basically I can put any hotkeys I want into any of these. And then if OBS sees those keys pressed, or that key pressed, it will invoke that thing, start streaming, stop streaming, etc. So let me just scroll down a little bit. I programmed the 5 and I'm not using the 5 and 6 keys, but I programmed show source toolbar and hide source toolbar to be 5 and 6 just for testing purposes. The more important ones are these. When you create a scene, which I've created plenty of scenes, basically it puts the scene name there, and you get the chance to type in what you want the keys to be. So I could do Alt D in here. So it's in here, Alt D. But I did Control and 1. And I know you can't see my keyboard, but basically I just held down the Control key and pressed 1. And now what OBS knows is if it sees Control 1, it's going to switch to this scene. If it sees Control 2, it's going to switch to the overhead only, etc., etc. So I can't see the save button, so I'm just going to click on this and say yes. So just to prove this without using the keypad, I'm going to hold, I know you can't see my keyboard, I'm going to hold down the Control key and press 1, and it's flicked to my webcam. Now I'm going to go to scene 2 by doing Control 2, Control 3, and Control 4. So really all I'm doing here is I'm proving that OBS is waiting to see Control 1, Control 2, Control 3, Control 4. And now we can test this. So if I press F1, it's switched to the overhead view. So you're seeing the webcam on my laptop projecting upwards. We'll go to F2, actually we'll go to F4 so you can see the picture in picture, back to F2. So all I've done is basically told OBS, if you see Control 2 coming from any keyboard, then switch to the scene that I've called F2 overhead only. And I've programmed this to send that. Again, you can program whatever you want. I think this makes sense. I certainly like the fact that I've labeled these with the labels that I stuck these labels on myself. So anyway, this is working for me. So now I can have this keypad hidden away somewhere, and basically I can just flick between scenes with basically, without having to use a mouse. So hopefully that helps. I'm kind of looking forward to using it. And if you have any comments, questions, please put them below. Subscribe if you want to see more things like this. Typically my stuff is much more related to technology and as it relates to wood turning and other woodworking, but I thought this was a good one and I couldn't find something that helped me understand it. So hopefully this will help you.